Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Legacy Building with AV. Today, we have none other than the LovingStone CEO and co-founder, founder. Do you
Founder.
have a name?
No, I don't
Okay.
have any co-founders. It's just me, myself, and God.
Okay. Awesome. So there's no co-founders. He is the founder. He established this LovingStone, and basically he's out there helping people that are homeless and spreading love within the community through his organization, his fundraisers, his events that he puts on all around, all over the East Coast, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what's up. So hopefully you guys could follow along and hear more about his story and maybe get inspired to start your own project or partner up with him or other people. So with that getting said, Blake, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? How are you?
I'm excited. I'm excited because I met you when you were so young, and to see you blossom into a man who has his own charity. Like, I don't even know how to start my own charity. Like, that's dope. Like,
Okay.
I am so proud. So I just got to give you your flowers before we even begin. Like, I am so proud of what you're doing, how you're moving, and it's like you're inspiring so many people, all different ages. Like, this is awesome.
I
So how did
appreciate
it
that.
come about? Yes. How did Loving
Absolutely.
come about?
Lovingstone came about my sophomore year.
Mhm.
I had just moved off campus, so I was living with three older guys. Two were fifth year seniors, one was a senior, and I was a sophomore. So I knew all these guys, and just being at Morehouse, I guess I expected more from the culture, and I wasn't receiving that. Um, when you get to a point where you don't identify with smoking, the drinking, the partying, things of that sort, you kind of uh, isolate yourself from those type of things. So that's what I did. I isolated myself. I spent a lot of time alone in my room. I'm really just trying to hear God and understand my place in time, my place in history, and my place within my purpose. And through that, God showed me my purpose. My purpose is to help others that cannot help themselves. So through that, God showed me LovingStone. God showed me different steps, uh, when to start certain things, when to hold off on certain things. So I called I think I called like two people. I called my friend Samir. He's about second in charge within LovingStone, and then also my good friend TJ. He does great work with our media work in the Philly branch. I called them both, telling them, hey, I got this idea. I want you guys to do this with me. And of course, my friends are supportive, but also it was that moment where I realized that I'm gonna have to do a lot by myself. Like they're more so gonna support me and be there for me and not necessarily take the steps to set something up or spend the 4 a.m.s up doing research and crossing off my T's and dotting my I's. And so I created LovingStone my sophomore year in college to try and change the culture also within my institution, but also big, large organizations as well. So I spent a lot of time uh, doing the groundwork behind the scenes, the filing, things of that sort, and then kind of we transitioned to where we are now. Um, Now I'm a senior, just graduated Morehouse.
Oh my God, that's so much. That's so exciting. Like, that's awesome. So, like, you said a lot, and I just wanted to run it back a little bit. You said that basically, you realized the path that you were on with some of the people in your school you weren't resonating with, so you decided to isolate yourself, but you decided to turn to God. So, like, did you always have a religious background, or were you finding God for the first time and
Yeah,
you were like, all right, God, like, talk to me. What do you
yeah.
want me to do?
Yeah. Before I actually answer that question, I do want to shout out Pop Pop Roman because I did grow up Pop Pop Roman. Rest your soul. We love you very much. Pop Pop Roman was the first pastor that I really had before it was Derek Brennan. So Josh, your husband. I went to church with my big cousins, you know. So I spent a lot of time in church when I was younger, and kind of just when I got older, I guess you could say I kind of stopped praying on my knees at night, you know, kind of um, seeking God elsewhere, you know, visually, what I could see, what I could feel, and I didn't really fully understand it starts within. So you could say that I wasn't too close with God, or God wasn't hearing from me that much. But definitely, I grew up Christian. I had that basis growing up, and it kind of transitioned over as I gotten older. Especially my big sister Bria, she became a shaman, so she learned different spiritual practices to help cleanse and balance your chakras within. So I was able to learn those type of practices, and that helped me a lot reconnecting back with God. And then also, you know, taking the time to educate myself. You know, most people can't say they've read the whole Bible. I've read it front to back. So being able to understand the different parts of religions, the different parts of wisdom, so that I can use that to help nurture and grow myself. Yeah.
That's good. I mean, I went to Catholic school all my life, but I don't think I've ever like sat down and read the Bible from front to back. I read pieces, you know what I mean? We jumped around.
Yeah.
But that's awesome.
Blake, I know it's Sunday. Lord, but as many times as you just mentioned God, we're going to need you to tie some experiences to it so the listeners can understand what the guidance was and how you identified that you were walking in your purpose. You said God 16 times, but we need the examples of how you realized you were walking in your purpose. Because a lot of times on this journey towards personal fulfillment, and especially when we want to help others, you mentioned that you realized you had to do it on your own. And a lot of times, speaking of the Bible, it's our accomplishment, it's our cross to bear, right? Or whatever we want to accomplish is our cross to bear. School, and I'm Muslim. Religion is the only class I got an A in throughout high school. Right? Quran and the Bible from front to cover as well. One thing, one common theme is that a lot of our battles, our conflicts, are within. So God is with us all. You built upon your spiritualism. Let's dive deeper into how you identified that.
All right. Y'all want the nitty gritty? I got y'all.
Yes.
Definitely. I would start off by first saying that I asked for a dream. I asked God, show me a way that I can help others while I'm sleeping, make money in my sleep, and impact individuals being anywhere in the world. So through that, that's where God showed me LovingStone. First showed me to create the nonprofit side of things. So we went out, we started the on-ground work. I created different branches now. We have a branch in Washington, D.C., Chicago, Philly, where I'm from, and then also here in Atlanta. Atlanta is very special because we recently just got registered to be a RSO organization on Georgia State University's campus, and then also, of course, the AUC with Clark Spellman and Morehouse. So thinking about the on-ground work, God also showed me different parts of LovingStone. So through that time of building the on-ground work, I was secretly working on the other parts of LovingStone, which was the technology side. God showed me to create an app that uses geolocation tracking to mark the relative location of somebody experiencing homelessness, so that it sends a location ping to us, LovingStone, other shelters, and individuals like yourself to mark where they're at so we can get them off the street. Through that, you can post different community service events, post different threads. It's very interactive type of app. And so we've been developing that beta app. And then lastly, of course, the real estate side. I'm headed to get my master's in real estate development next year from Arizona State University. But before I got to that point, I was noticing and doing research on these different shelters here in Atlanta, understanding places like Japan that have nobody experiencing homelessness and how they operate and how they're able to do that. Other places like Los Angeles in California spending over $30 billion on alleviating homelessness and failing miserably. So understanding these different points of views in the world, how can I do better? How can I not have history repeat itself with dealing with God's people, with helping them? So I've taken the time out to think about different structures that we're going to implement in the next few years regarding real estate and the app venture, and then also the on-ground work as well.
That's good. And what you said about California, I just see like a reporter calling them out on Instagram the other day where she was saying, you guys got all this money and the work never started. Like they never did the projects that they so-called were going to do. And when you go to those streets, there's no construction work, but where did the money go towards? Like all these politicians basically got raises, but we're not even going to get into it because we'll be here all day. So like the app that you spoke about, like if someone was homeless, are you assuming that they already have a phone to be able to download and say, hey, I need help?
Mm-hmm. So great question. So absolutely, we're not depending on anybody experiencing homelessness to really have a phone. So that was like one way. A lot of the ways of alleviating homelessness are out of date or like old, like the older generation, they did your traditional feedings and stuff like that. But of course, tying into our roots, but being able to build off of that. So thinking about kind of how you have like the Waze app and you see like a accident or something, or you see like a lost animal, maybe a deer on the road, you can mark it. So thinking about a quick way to mark the relative location of somebody experiencing homelessness, we're able to at least identify where they're at. So how Japan is able to have nobody experiencing homelessness is really through their government services. Their government services are able to identify where they're at, and then they just get them off the street. Now, what happens after that is a great deal of importance, but also it's not necessarily known within Japan's governments and even here in the US. So being able to get these people and soon to be LovingStone facilities and healing homes to get them off the street and also give them the necessary tools to build themselves back up, to reground themselves so they can get back in the world.
Wow, you said LivingStone's like actual clinics, like you're thinking big, like
yeah, I definitely have a good plan.
Yes, that's good. So is the goal to basically get a bunch of donations to then build these projects or these places where they would live? Like how are you thinking about funding it?
Absolutely. Well, the goal definitely is to remind everybody that we live in an abundant world. I believe that everybody has what they need to succeed here in life. And if I have to be the embodiment of that reminder, so be it. So definitely, we've been thinking about different ways to tie our nonprofit, but also creating a for-profit side and pouring that back into each other so that we're able to self-sustain ourselves.
That's good. That is good. So you also mentioned you're going to school for real estate development. So in the future, I could see how that's going to tie in and be your own developer. Like,
Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So have you started like scoping out lands or just doing your research on that, or is that kind of in the future?
It's really hard to recognize the type of land you would need because, for example, Philadelphia, they did a 10-year plan to end homelessness. This was a few years ago, and they brought together different nonprofits, government leaders, councilman members, just a whole 9 yards. And they all sat down and they said, hey, we're going to make this plan. We're going to follow this, and we should solve homelessness within Philadelphia. And the plan failed miserably because they weren't able to have enough real estate for those individuals to move into to lay their heads. So coming out here in Atlanta, the first community service event we ever had was in partnership with a government shelter called the Gateway Center. Now, the Gateway Center is an old detention center, and actually the individuals that live in the detention center live in old cells, and these cells are ripped off from their bars and just have a sheet. So the sheet is their privacy, and that's all that they have. So that is a government shelter, and that is what Atlanta's government bridged to individuals experiencing homelessness. So I'm hoping to go out there in Arizona and identify different formats in different ways that I can not only develop facilities and healing homes, but also take places like an old detention center and re-innovate it to a place that people can go and nurture themselves, be with their families, grow themselves, learn different modules and different skills to be back, to be able to get back into the world and pour into themselves.
So
That's good.
what are some of the obstacles you've had to overcome in addition to realizing that you weren't going to do it with your roommates or friends in college?
Absolutely. That's an excellent question. I would say the biggest obstacle I face is my self-belief. I think a lot of people sometimes over the years and even now think that my confidence in myself is cocky, but it's actually been a really long battle to get to the point where I have no fear and I believe 110% in myself. So definitely getting to that point was not easy. It took a lot of L's, you could say, but also it took a lot of
L's as in lessons, right?
absolutely lessons, L's as in lessons, absolutely. But definitely I would say that that's the biggest obstacle. And then also I'm getting out of Philly. Most people don't talk about how hard it is to get out of a place that's all you've known. Getting out of Philly was very hard for me. I got kicked out of school in my sophomore year of high school. I was asked to not come back. So from being kicked out of school, I didn't know what was next. My parents, of course, were upset at me, but I was kind of relieved to just be out of that institution that I was in. So being kicked out of school.
Dive into that, because I feel like you're going to move on too fast, and that's part of your journey where people would be able to learn a lot from. We're now at the count
Absolutely.
of 67 gods, right? But you're talking about some, I won't say obstacle, I would say some changes and growths in your development, right? So without saying, oh, it was God, no, talk about the experience of you getting kicked out of school and how you had completed this journey into becoming who you are today. Because if now you're moving on, right? So get to leave and not come back to school.
Absolutely. You went out a little bit there, but I heard most of what you were saying. You definitely said dive into that deeper. So to start
Yeah,
off,
so I was saying that we'll edit that. We'll edit, but what I was asking you to do is to dive into the story, your experience of who you were when you were asked to leave the school to who you are today. There had to be some experiences that caused you to change your thought process and actions as a young man. But you mentioned sophomore in high school and you mentioned sophomore in college. That's 4 or 5 years of growth and development. We know that God was experienced.
I, I
You
think
cut off again.
cut off. I got you. All right. So I went to a school called Penn Charter. I went there from kindergarten to my 10th grade year. So that is all I've known all my life. I grew up in West Philadelphia, around Overbrook, a little bit up the block from where Will Smith just got his street named after him. So I was very thankful that my parents always tried to keep me busy with extracurricular activities and keep me out of going too deep into the neighborhood, you could say. So being in that school, everybody knew me to be who I am, outgoing, bright, goofy, however you want to call it. During my 8th grade year, my parents kind of started to argue a little bit around my 7th, 8th grade year, and it kind of just sparked just tension in my home a lot. And it was about I think it was about my 9th grade year when I kind of knew, like, hey, like this is not okay. I remember waking up one day and just hearing yelling and screaming, and we're on the 3rd floor, so my parents' room is right across from me. Then next to them is my sister's room, and my room's across from there. So I remember just hearing yelling and screaming, and I remember opening the door. As soon as I opened the door, I see my sister opening her door. Mind you, it's like 6, 7 a.m. I got school. It's like a Thursday. And my parents are sitting there in each other's faces, screaming at each other at the top of their lungs. So after that, I kind of realized that, I don't know anybody whose parents are divorced or separated for real, but that looks like what's about to happen to me. So that's transition kind of started to happen of my parents just splitting, my dad not being home as often, me acting like I'm asleep, staying up till 3 a.m., knowing I got school tomorrow just to hear him come in and act sleep when he gets in, So it was a lot of those nights, but it taught me a lot about myself, just taught me how to take care of myself, and taught me how to develop my inner monologue going through all of that. I kind of went to school I depended on school to be a release for me. I don't have to deal with at home at school. So I would just kind of just keep to myself a little bit, just have my headphones in, listen to my P&B rock, do what I do, But it got to a point where my school kind of took note, and just my change in behavior, you could say. I was just more just kept to myself. So they reached out to my home and asked, hey, is there anything going on? What's going on with Blake? This, that, and the third. My parents told them they've been going through some troubles, and told them about them possibly going forward with getting a divorce. So after that, it was just weird. I'll be completely honest with you both. It was completely weird. I would go to school now, and after school, now I got to talk to a lady in an office that I've never been in, and I just want to go home, So things like that started to happen. I remember one day I had to talk to some lady, and they just sat me down. It was real weird and awkward, and they were like, hey, like, how are you feeling today? Like, what's been going on? And I'm just like, I'm okay. So kind of moving forward, my school made requirements for me to come back. And this is leading into my 10th grade year. One of the requirements was I had to see a therapist. They wanted me to do some other things, see some other people. And I was just baffled. Me being young and knowing that this is all I've known all my life, I know nothing else but this institution. So of course I went along with it. Coming back that 10th grade year and having to go to therapy and almost essentially being forced to talk about how I felt, it kind of made me develop a little anger, you could say, towards my institution, and resentment. Kind of, I felt like they let me down through that whole period in time. You're telling a young Black boy, how to navigate certain things, and you never once asked him what he needs. You never once asked him, hey, Blake, how can we help? So fast forward my 10th grade year, I wasn't quiet and timid anymore. I kind of just let loose. I was getting in trouble. What type of things was I getting in trouble for? Everything. I was a knucklehead.
So it sounds like you were going through a lot, right? The separation of your
Yeah,
parents, which could devastate one if they're not really
yeah,
ready for or prepared for such a transition. But you're talking about, the anger that you had within as a child. But what I'm hearing as you're speaking are the tools that you were provided with and that you developed, probably without even realizing throughout your journey. So speak a little more about how therapy helped you in the long, and then let's dive a little deeper into the self monologue, because
mm,
I understand what you meant with that. Be a beneficial tool for someone to acknowledge or even develop on their own if they're not open to therapy.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, definitely my take on therapy now is way different than it was before. I actually do therapy. I have to get a new one. I was doing therapy at school at Morehouse, um, and it was very refreshing. Back then, I kind of didn't like therapy at all. I didn't like having to essentially feel like I have to put on a facade to talk about things that I may or may not be going through, and then understanding that even though I'm speaking about these things, like what can this person really do to help me? That was a lot that I was thinking about. And then I'm sorry, Gavin, what was the other point you were speaking about?
Because I just thought that the two tools that stood out to me were therapy and then the internal monologues, right? The speaking to yourself. Well, you know what? I don't want to give the answer. What does that mean to you, and how does it help you with your throughout your journey?
Yeah. Well, I would definitely say my inner monologue started to develop really when I would come home and cry myself to sleep every day. Um, it was a time period in my life because my big sister, she's about 3 years older than me. Once my parents uh, did move out and my mom was staying at the house we grew up and my dad was staying somewhere else, having to just be by myself through all of that, I would come home, I would not touch a lick of homework, and I would cry myself to sleep. I would play a song on repeat, a little XXXTentacion song. I would play that on repeat, and I would just sit there and I would just cry and cry and cry. And this was every day of my life for a really long time. My dad's working, so my dad's not coming home till 9, 10 o'clock. So by the time he's coming home, I'm cool. I'm asleep. I quote unquote did my homework, and then with my mom, she's trying her best to stay on her feet, so she's can only worry about me oh so much at that point. So definitely, it got to a point where my mental health was really bad. So I had a choice. I had a choice to either stay like this or to um, get myself out of this, roll myself out of this. So that's where my inner monologue started to develop. Definitely being able to talk to myself and depend on myself, being able to nurture myself, uh, and uh, having self-awareness is something that I didn't always have. So during that time, I was really able to gain a lot of self-awareness for myself with my time in history, my place in history, my place in my story. So that's kind of where my inner monologue became stronger, ended up being a tool that I could depend on and I could use and I could run to for sure.
Thank you for sharing. I had no idea you were going through all this. And I knew your parents, I feel like your parents started to separate right when I was introduced to them. And I was
Yeah,
like, oh, I love them together. So I'm sorry you had to go through that. I
it's
had no
okay.
idea. But it clearly made you a stronger person and allowed you to have more self insight and help you regulate yourself. And it's part of your story, you know, like now you have LovingStone, and it's just growing. Like, so
Yeah,
it's crazy how like sometimes we have to go through some things in order to make us stronger for something else and lay the foundation. Like everything we've gone through in our past helps us. Uh, so yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that for sure.
sure.
Um, so like now that you have these tools that helps you communicate better, how are you implementing them within Lovingstone?
Absolutely. How am I using the tools that I have acquired to implement them in LovingStone? First off, it starts with my leadership. My leadership is A1. I think I'm an excellent leader. I think I am such a good leader because I actually learned this in the Bible. I never think what somebody's saying is wrong. I always think, hey, take what he's saying, she's saying, they're saying, what I'm saying, put it all together, and we can find a new understanding. I try and be an embodiment of a leader that I would follow. So I am able to read the room, understand how to talk to certain individuals one way, how to be patient. There's a lot of power in patience. So, somebody said to me to get to the point and achieve all that you have in the time that you have, you must have had to be really patient. So I definitely have learned and mastered patience with my time. And then also understanding um, my influence in collective energy. This is something that I always preach to my legends, or God's legends, LovingStone legends. That's what they're called, the team members. So I always preach to the legends that our collective energy is something that can't be stopped, and is the power is unmatched within that. So that is something that I try and bridge to them. I try and show to them, and then also I try and show individuals the skills and the light within themselves. I think that you can speak a lot of light and life into individuals, but also you can take from it. So taking that conscious decision to be a light, to speak life into individuals that are part of my team, part of LovingStone's team, but that also that we just help out. That's really important. Uh,
I agree, that is important. And I love that you call them legends. Like you're speaking to like their inner child. Like that's
yeah,
awesome.
they're
That
definitely
is
legends in their own right.
I love that. So how do you define success, and has that definition changed over time?
Yeah. So I remember when I was younger, I used to tell people when I didn't know what I wanted to do, I would just tell them, I just want to be successful. So I always thought, that was just being able to pay for things and having a job. But of course, that has changed when I'm older. I think success is defined by doing the things you say you set out to do. So if you say you're going to do something, and you set out and you do that, you achieve some type of success. I don't believe in being humble. I believe in being modest. So I definitely believe in celebrating your successes and what you've
Yes.
accomplished, but also not resting on them and keep going forward. So that's the biggest way I define success. And what was the second part of your question? My apologies.
Like how has that definition of success changed over time?
Yeah, I think it's changed over time. I'm not belittling the small and big wins. I try and tell myself that you're very important in your small moments, but also your big moments as well. So, um, for example, we met the mayor um, this past semester. We met the mayor of Atlanta. We were able to have 15 plus well-dressed Black men that were not only a part of LovingStone, but part of Clark Atlanta University and, of course, Morehouse, all go up and meet the mayor and tell him, I'm a LovingStone legend, but I'm also a part of this institution. And, of course, he was wowed. He was blown. And, of course, it felt good to know that I was the mastermind behind all of this,
Yes.
So of course that was a great moment, but also little things like getting up every day and pouring into myself, taking my shower, grooming myself, being able to journal. Both of those instances are equally important to me, myself, and my path. So understanding that you can have success in your little moments and big moments, that has definitely changed over time.
I love that. I love that. And journaling definitely helps you put all your thought process and clear it out. Like, what are you thinking? So that's a great routine to help you with your thought process. That's awesome. So what impact do you hope to leave behind?
So I definitely hope to leave a generational impact behind. I want to be able to, and I love that you guys use this word impact, because that's like my number one word in the nonprofit world. It's impact, creating impact. Shout out to Ms. Moore. But definitely creating impact for generations to come is my goal and heart. I want to be able to get our people out of this stage that we're in right now. We're healing from slavery right now. So a lot of our upbringing right now is from the mishaps that we've had for the past 200 plus years. So being able to set that up for not only my generation, your generation, but the few generations to come, it's extremely important for me. I don't believe in necessarily leaving like a legacy for me to be talked about, to be known for, but really just getting the job done is the most important thing to
Yeah.
me for my time
So
here.
don't speak to your legacy. Speak to the legacy of what you're creating. Livingstone
Abs-
itself can have a legacy.
Absolutely, absolutely. I definitely want LovingStone to be a pillar of hope. I want people to be able to see the news and read something bad, but remember, hey, LovingStone exists. We're okay. You know, so definitely, I hope to uh, make the love that LovingStone has. The name LovingStone, it comes from an embodiment of who I am. I'm unconditional love, but I'm also strong like a stone, like a rock. You can't move me. So being able to uh, have that love and that presence felt not only here in the U.S., but all around the world. We've been able to make ties in Pakistan. We've been able to make ties in Bali, Indonesia. So being able to continue that and expand our love, is something that I strive for every day.
That's good. In unity, we could go a lot further together. So that's awesome. So what advice would you give to someone who is struggling to take the first step towards their passion?
I was thinking about this question when I did read it. I think the biggest advice that I can give is take a step. You won't know if you have to go forward, backward, side, left, if you don't take that first step. I didn't know how to go about creating a nonprofit, let alone an app. I played ball growing up, um, and then of course real estate. I didn't know any of these things, but I didn't, I didn't freeze. I didn't wait. I was very solution-based thinking, very action-based thinking, and I took that first step. So definitely, that is my biggest advice for anybody that wants to do anything. Take that first step and allow God to lead the way as you continue to grow.
Yeah, because if you're not moving, no one could follow you behind. So you have to actively try. And another thing you said is like, don't freeze. I think I forgot if that was the exact wording you
Yeah,
used, but
yeah.
that's good. That is so good. So like, quick rundown. How do you create a nonprofit?
Okay. So first you have to create an LLC. From then you have to file with your state for a specific type of nonprofit. So there's different types of nonprofits. I personally created a 501c3, and that is a C corp. So that is like a full nonprofit. Sometimes you can create different ones where your venture can do for-profit and nonprofit work. I think that's a B corp. So that's one way you can start out by doing it. But a lot of that's just the legal side of it. Um, the main part of it is definitely finding an understanding what you want to impact, what you want to create, the type of vibe that you want to be felt. So first and foremost, thinking about that is the basis of it, but that's kind of how you go about creating it.
Thank you for sharing. I had no idea. I mean, I've opened LLCs before, but you helping me out real quick.
For sure.
So like, it sounds like the paperwork was probably the easiest part of creating a nonprofit.
Yeah, the paperwork was the easiest and the boringest part of creating.
Oh, Gavin, are you looking for something? Okay.
What you call it? Yeah, definitely. The paperwork was the boringest, but also the longest stage, I would say, in creating everything. But it really helped me to hone in on where I wanted to go. So instead of waiting for everything to finish being finalized, I spent a lot of time my summer after my sophomore year, going to my junior year, every day working on LovingStone. Every day the gym, every day we're going to pen, we're sitting down, we're opening the book, we're planning all the things that we've accomplished this past year and a half. So a lot of the things like our Hoops for Homelessness tournament, being able to partner with Morehouse, being able to partner with Spelman, being able to partner with student housing places for partnerships. That was all planned out. That was all written out. So it really was.
How did you manage all of these partnerships on your own?
Oh man, I'm nasty, man. I'm a bad dude.
Clearly. And I like when you speak with confidence. As long as you're speaking to and with us, you can always be confident, because
For
that's
sure.
just the end result of your hard work.
For sure. No, but for real, how I managed a lot of these things was just every day, not taking breaks, really just being consistent and persistent. That's how I was able to manage myself, what I needed to do for myself, for school. I graduated in 4 years. Most 30% of my class graduated. The other 60 something, 50 something percent did not graduate from the people I came in freshman year. So, my mom told me that, so really, I'm very grateful to be known amongst my friends as somebody that gets things done. They always say, Blake gonna get the job done. Blake, he gonna get it done. So, and for a while, I didn't know this was how I was known amongst my friends. So once I heard that, I had to zoom out for a little bit, and really it's persistence is consistent. I have a black book. I think everybody should get a black book. If you're seeing this, go get you a black book. But my black book, I would stay up just doing research, writing in my black book. So I have things from ninth grade in high school to things in freshman year in college that I've just been developing and building on. So definitely just being consistent and persistent, and of course believing in yourself.
That's good. So your black book, you write all your ideas in and then go back and like expound on it.
Yeah, I keep my black book on me at all times. I don't let it go too far. But it's what I need to save the world, you could say.
Yeah.
It's something you can just hone in on, cross-reference things, connect things. So definitely I hone in on my black book for sure. I got a couple.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So did you also create a trademark for LovingStone, or?
Yeah. Well, I actually have a meeting next week, developing trademarks for the app and then also the real estate venture as well. But yeah, we were able to trademark it. But what I'm looking to see is happening is we're growing extensively. The Washington, D.C. branch has been doing excellent work growing down at Howard and Georgetown. And then also, like I mentioned earlier, we have the new RSO for LovingStone GSU. So Georgia State University. I personally have never attended Georgia State University, so being able to have that opportunity and be a registered student organization there, I know we're going to have to trademark more and as we grow our outreach within these different states.
That's so exciting. Look at you.
I'm very excited.
That's awesome. I'm so proud of you. Like everything you're doing, it's like it's exciting because so many people stop themselves from following their dreams and they think that it's too hard and they stop there. And you're like, nope, I'm gonna research it. I'm gonna keep studying. I'm gonna talk to people until I get the answers that I need to accomplish it. And that's exactly what you're doing. So I've enjoyed this so much. Like, all right, so can you share share a pivotal lesson you learned that has shaped your journey?
Yeah. So my answer when I was thinking about this before was definitely self-belief. I think I spoke on that a lot on how important that is. If my biggest advice for anybody that is watching this, trust yourself. Definitely trust yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, find out why you don't trust yourself. It all starts with yourself. You can't do much without self. You are an extension of God, the greatest being to ever exist in the entire galaxy, planet, everything. You are a direct extension of that. So trust that and trust yourself. That would be my advice, my wisdom to them.
I love that. And I love that you said if you don't trust yourself, figure out why. So you're telling them do that deep work. If you got to sit alone, write it,
That'll work.
meditate it, cry yourself, like you got to figure out why don't you trust yourself in order to rebuild that.
Yeah.
That is good. So if you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be and why?
If I could be remembered for one thing, it would to be remembered for always trying to do right. That's what I would want to be remembered for. I'm not perfect. I've done a lot of bad. I've done a lot of good. I've messed up. I've lied before. I've let people down before. But through it all, I've always tried to grow myself and be better. Not for anybody else, but for myself and most importantly for God. So definitely just try and grow yourself.
That's good. That's good. And I feel like we've all been there on both sides, letting people down or messing up. And the only thing we can really do is just try to be better and do better. So I am with you with that. Thank you so much, Blake, for allowing us to interview you. Like we definitely need to do a follow-up to see where LovingStone is in 5 years, 10
Yeah.
years, 2 years. Like we got to definitely follow your story and spread it so that other people can be inspired, can join partnerships with you guys, or, inspired to do their own venture if that's the case. So thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
I just want to highlight a few things. One thing I want to highlight is that school that I got kicked out of. We now partner with them through LovingStone.
That's awesome.
I do want to point that out.
Moment.
Yeah, it is a full circle moment because I don't have to talk to anybody. I don't have to go to that institution. I don't have to look at their posts. I don't have to follow them back. I don't have to do anything. But they are a direct partner with us. We have campus liaisons set up within that school. So I just wanted to highlight that because I want everybody to know that school gave up on me. They gave up on me as an individual. They gave up on what my potential, what I was and what I am and what I'm becoming. And I just want to highlight that, not to go at them, but to let everybody know, don't give up on yourself. So if you are going through mishaps, if you got kicked out of school, if you're struggling with growing yourself, breaking old habits, just know that tomorrow can be way different. 2 weeks from now could be way different. So please don't ever give up on yourself and what you can achieve and what you can accomplish.
So what I love that you left all accomplishment, because that's my last question that I have. What is accomplishment for you? What does it look like? What does it feel like?
uh, being able to see the smiles on the individuals we help, uh, being able to see the smiles on their faces, being able to see people put on a new shirt that they haven't, that they didn't even think they were going to be able to have, being able to ask individuals their names because they haven't gotten that question asked in 2+ years, 5+ months. Being able to see the LovingStone legends grow themselves and have fun, and to still be authentic in who they are and how they feel, but still get down to business and pour into God's people, to still take care of business and do the things that they need to do within LovingStone. Being able to see all of that come together. If I died today, God forbid, I would die with a smile on my face. I never thought I would really be recognized for a lot of the work that I set out to do. And I'm seeing it, like you said, Holly, it sparks inspiration. So me being aware of that, I feel accomplished. Of course, I don't rest on it, set on it, but I definitely do feel accomplished being able to see on the change and the hope that I brought and bridged to individuals. It's something that I don't necessarily think about all the time and really tell myself. But when I do have, individuals come to me and show me that you have inspired people, that you have helped people, that you continue to every day, I have no choice but to rise up to it and acknowledge it and be very much grateful and, of course, feel accomplished from it.
That's good. That is so good. Thank you for sharing, for sure. Another thing you said, that caught my attention. You mentioned that some people, they haven't even been asked their name, and I feel like your mind went somewhere. Like you thought of an interaction. Can you describe that? Like, what was that like to
Yeah,
speak to people who feel
yeah,
invisible?
yeah. I try. I'm not the richest guy yet in the world, I would say, but
I love that. Yeah.
definitely, I think my prayers work. So if I can't give them anything, I try and at least just ask them their name. It's all about helping people feel seen and heard. Especially, a lot of people get ostracized for experiencing homelessness. They're not homeless; they're experiencing homelessness. Everybody has a home, so I try and refrain from calling anybody homeless. They're experiencing homelessness, and I try and treat them like everybody else. I'm not about to treat you different because you may smell a little bad, or you may not have shoes on, or you don't have a job, or you don't have a haircut. I was always taught to treat the CEO and the janitor with the same type of respect. So I believe that uh, asking individuals their names can go a really long way. Try it. I challenge everybody to try it. Next time you're at a red light, maybe you give somebody $1 and stop and look at them like, hey, like, what's your name? My name is Drew. Nice to meet you, Drew. I'm Blake. Give them a pound, keep going. But you'll see something go off in their brain. Literally, it's like they're woken back up. They remember, like, I'm alive. This is who I am. I believe wholeheartedly that individuals experiencing homelessness, all of us are God's people. So it is not in me to leave my brother, my sister behind. If I can help my brother, my sister, I'm gonna do so the same way I would want them to help me. So definitely ask individuals their name. You don't necessarily have to give them money, but maybe your favorite candy, they'll like it. You like the
Yeah.
high chews, the double bubble gum. You could give that to them. I think a lot of people try and um, ostracize individuals experiencing homelessness, automatically assuming that they're going to hurt you, or that they're evil, or they're crazy, so stay away from them. These people are just like you. These people have gone through experiences just like you. So We shouldn't ostracize people. We should definitely bring them together, ask them their name, ask them their shoe size, give them some shoes, give them the clothes up off your back. That's the type of person I was raised to be. So that's what I try to embody for sure.
That's good. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna definitely stop and actually ask, because I don't. Sometimes I just give them the money and I drive off. Like,
Yeah. Well, when you ask them their name, yeah, that's something I do. It makes them feel seen and heard, you know. Definitely, and it works. It works for sure. You know, it works for sure.
thank you for sharing that. I feel like you're bringing back humanity to like people that feel like they've been forgotten, or people haven't done anything to help their situation. And I know we live in a world where it's all about how much you make and stuff.
People who are lost within civilization. They just feel like the world's moving around them. Yep.
Yeah. And it's definitely scary being lost out here. I think I felt really lost, you know, a lot growing up, and then also for a short period of time my freshman year in college. You know, I was meditating, you know, celibate for 9+ months. I was zenned out before college, and then I got to college, all that went out the window. So, you know, I felt lost too, but you know, I found my way back, and I'm trying to help others find their way back too, you know, the best I can.
Yes, keep it up. Like, keep it up. Like, a lot of people need that. They need people that are going to believe in them when they don't believe in themselves. So we appreciate your work. We feel like it's definitely needed in this world, and we'll definitely try to help in any way that we possibly can. So thank you so much for allowing us to interview you. It's been a pleasure, and we can't wait to see what happens next with LovingStone.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Good luck to you all. And I love what you all are doing. Keep finding the leaders of tomorrow, because people like myself, people like the next person you're going to interview, they need platforms like this to share their story. And I appreciate you all having me out here, being able to hear a little bit about what I've gone through, and how I've shaped myself into the man I am today. So I appreciate you all.
Thank you. We appreciate you as well.
Thanks, Blake.
Sure.
Thank you, Blake. We did it. That was so